Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan back here today talking about the 9th house. So before we get started, as usual, what sign rules your 9th house and what planets do you have there? Please leave them in the comments below. I love reading them, guys, and I'd just like to say thank you so much for everyone who has been coming along on these houses, understanding the houses videos, and have been sharing their experiences, because we're all learning so much from each other. Alright, so in the 8th house, we really went through a lot of pain trying to dig deep into our depth psychology, and we were really trying hard to bond with somebody else, and sometimes the bonds were broken, and we really had to transform ourselves in one way or another. Through all of that pain, we come into the 9th house with so much wisdom and perspective about life. So that's why I call this house the house of perspective, or it's kind of the awareness of your beliefs, which we're gonna get to very soon. The 9th house, the 8th house, being able to come out of the hardships of the 8th house gives us hope and faith that there's still a silver lining, there's still a light at the end of the tunnel, and that's the 9th house, guys. It's that hope and that faith. The perspective that we've gained from the 8th house coming into the 9th house is that, life is a journey after all. It's a journey from pain to strength to perspective to spreading wisdom, all that 9th house good stuff. So we have gained enough experiences now, from the 8th house and the 7th maybe, to be able to really form our beliefs and our concepts about life. And we are now searching for the meaning of life. What is the meaning of all that pain that I had to go through in my 8th house? What's the meaning of that divorce in the 8th house? What's the meaning of that sexual experience in the 8th house? You know what I'm saying? So the 9th house opposes the 3rd house, okay? The 3rd house is the house of the lower mind, the logic mind. The 9th house is the higher mind. So here we really begin to be able to ask ourselves, what is the universal significance behind, that we can take from certain facts? Or, what is the meaning that can be derived from certain information or facts or data? So, like if I draw 3 dots as such, the 3rd house would kind of say, oh, this is 3 dots, and if you connect them, it's probably going to form a triangle. The 9th house is probably going to look at this dot and say, this is the number 3. 3 is linked to the triquetra symbol, the Trinity knot, which symbolizes the maiden, the mother, and the crone, which is the mind, the body, and the spirit. It's the three phases of the goddess, which symbolizes the mind, the body, and the spirit. You get my point. In the 9th house, we ask questions about our existence. We believe in the God, whatever that means for you. These abstract concepts become real important in our lives because they give us meaning to all the hardships that we experienced in life. We begin to dig into philosophies and religion and things like that. One of the ways that we can really gain a bigger perspective of life is, of course, to travel, whether that be actual bodily travel, whether that be the mind or the spirit. We want to travel with the 9th house, because through traveling, let's say for the physical kind of traveling, when you experience a different culture, when you're abroad and then you look back at your own culture, you're seeing things from a different perspective now, because your mind has just taken on a different kind of concept of viewing the world. So when you look back at how your culture used to view the world, you can kind of see it from a different perspective, And ultimately, what we're actually kind of doing by expanding our horizons here is we want to find the truth of our existence. And because the phrase for the third house is I think, and the ninth house is we think. So the ninth house also symbolizes the systems of thoughts that we have as human beings. So things like religion, that is a system of thought. Certain philosophies, that is a system of thought. And this house is also associated with publishing, because when you think about the terms we think, you want to be able to publish your ideas, publish your philosophies, and spread that to the world to see who else is going to think like you. The eighth house is to be considered the house of our psychological depth, right? The ninth house is the house where we actually practice our intuition and our foresight, all right? So to quickly summarize, the ninth house is the awareness of the search for the meaning of life resulting from the hardships of the eighth house. And in order to do this, we travel through using our body, our mind, and our spirit so that we can gain a bigger perspective, so that we can really find out the answer to the questions that we have about life. While we are beginning to gain gather more experiences and have a bigger perspective of life, we begin to formulate our systems of thoughts, our philosophies, our beliefs, our religions. And ultimately, whatever beliefs we've managed to form, whatever systems of thought, I should use this word and not belief, whatever system of thought we've managed to form through our experiences, we want to be able to spread that to the world. Hence, this is the house of publishing. Whether that be actual, physical book publishing, it could be the media kind of publishing, it could be audio publishing, any kind of publishing. Okay guys, so now I'll share a little bit about my ninth house experience, because that's what we like to do here. We share experiences with each other. So my ninth house is ruled by Aquarius, and my north node is there. But first we'll talk about the fact that the ninth house is ruled by Aquarius. So because this is the house of the systems of thought, and Aquarius is the most unconventional sign out there, I'm actually a very open person, okay? I'm very open to accepting people's different thoughts and stuff, and I don't like to bind myself to any one system of thought, except the belief in humanity and the stars, but we'll get to that. But humanity, definitely, and compassion, humanity and compassion, that is something that I really, really believe in more than religion. And I feel like a lot of people are gonna hate me for this, but I sometimes wonder why humanity is not a religion itself. I mean, it really should be. I mean, at the end of the day, whatever we believe in, if we are not being nice to each other, if we are hurting each other, we can see the person in front of us, and we can see the person in the country that is bordering our country, and we know that they suffer and they have pain, and so do we, but we still don't have humanity for that person. Just doesn't really seem like a common sense. And I mean, I'm not against religion or anything, okay? I know a lot of people are. I know there's gonna be some people out there who are gonna, I don't know, say some stuff, but religion, was created at a time in our world when we really needed it to, okay? And at that period of the world, we really needed something to believe in and to rely on, okay? But I do feel that the world has really developed and changed, okay? And the way people think, the people's mindset have changed with the progress of the world. Technology has definitely changed with the progress of the world. Even education is now developing and changing, Finland's got this new education system where they're not going to teach languages not going to teach subjects anymore. They're going to gear more towards like teaching skills for specific jobs, right? All these things are kind of developing, but religion hasn't really evolved with the progress of humanity. I mean, I understand that religion is sacred, okay? But when religion is conflicting with the progress of humanity, which humanity is gonna have to keep progressing, and we are human beings, when religion is kind of conflicting with that, what are we gonna change? And if they can't go along together anymore, what are we gonna do? I think at the end of the day, you know, there's gotta be ways that we can adapt religion to suit the modern world. Yeah, I'm gonna stop it there. Yes, and I have my North Node in Pisces in the 9th house, so I believe in the stars. That's the other thing that I really believe in. The fact that, you know, astrology really shows us how we're in such synchronicity with the movements of the stars and the planets. That's what I also believe. That's very Aquarius, 9th house, Pisces, North Node in there. Also, because my North Node is in Pisces in the 9th house, I'm being aggressive right now, my South Node is in Virgo in the 3rd house. Now, Virgo and the 3rd house, what do they have in common? They're very mercurial energies. So I was born as someone who was a very fast learner, you know. I would go to school, sit in class, understood what the teacher was trying to get to before the teacher even finished talking, done all the exercises in my exercise book before all my peers even got halfway, and I'm like, what's next? I'm a really fast learner in that sense, all right? And that's why I used to be a journalist. That's very 3rd housey, Gemini, Virgo kind of a vibe. I used to be a journalist. I used to be an English teacher. I was really into my South Node, I suppose, and I was very unhappy. I did not feel like I was growing at all, even though it was so easy for me to do. You know, I did not go to school for journalism or anything. I remember that I went for an audition as a news reporter randomly one day, and the producer, the editorial staff and the producer were like, oh, you know what, let's hire her. Let's hire her. I had no journalism experience. So that was just, you know, this kind of journalistic personality is something that a lot of people see that I can do very well, and it's very easy for me as well, but it doesn't help me to grow. So therefore, I'm tapping into my North Node in the 9th house in Pisces. Now, this is for everybody out there. Wherever your North Node is placed, whatever sign and house, it's really useful, I think, to see if you have personal planets in that sign, you know, or if you have planets in the house of the sign or the house of your North Node. You know what I mean? Like if I have my North Node in Pisces, I'll see that. I also have my midheaven in Pisces, and I also have a bunch of planets in my 12th house that gives it more of that Pisces energy, you know? So I would look to those kinds of planets and see, you can see how it helps you to tap into your North Node better, because it's not easy to tap into your North Node. But with this North Node here, I have come to realize that, you know, I used to be someone who, you know, when I was an English teacher, my motivation for being an English teacher was actually to travel, okay? So I wanted to see the world and see as much of it as I could, and I wanted to keep going and going and going. But it got to a point where I was starting to feel like, okay, I'm tapping into my North Node in the 9th house, but how about this Piscean side of it? And I got a bit tired of traveling, to be honest. And I started to think about traveling inwards. I started to, I don't know, something clicked, and I felt like, yes, there's so much to see in the world, but there's so much to see within me. There's so much abundance outside, but there's also so much abundance within me. And all Pisces North Node can probably maybe relate with this, or if you have like a Pisces midheaven, it's almost like when you have absolutely nothing around you. It's very Piscean, 12th house, right? And I did come to a point in my life where I had nothing left. No job, no relationship, no place to live. It's nothing. Oh, I had money though. But anyways, so yeah, when you've reached a point where you just almost have like nothing left, that's when you really find what you have inside of you. that's when your spark really comes out, when you're pushed to the limit, to the edge of lacking all the abundance in the world. That's when the true abundance of who you really are comes out. And that is the Pisces North Node. It's so beautiful. You know, I find, and you know, for all of us probably, that sometimes we just look outside ourselves so much to fill in, to make us happy and to give us more abundance and stuff, but we are stardust. We are, and we can really sparkle and shine from within. But until we are really, because of, you know, all the, you know, consumerism in the world, it's really hard for us to accept that until we come to a place where we have nothing left. We've only got ourselves. And what can we do with that desperate part of ourselves? That is our sparkle. That is our light. And that's when I realized that, you know, I have it within me. We all have it within us. We have certain wisdom. We have certain knowledge. We have certain skills. We have compassion. We have a way of loving. That is already within each one of us. And we just have to bring it out. We have to just give that to the world and really believe that we are that. Each one of us are that special piece of stardust. We're all the same. I mean, we're all stardust, but we're just stardust in our own way, you know? So guys, that is my take on the 9th house. So if you have any planets in the 9th house, please leave them in the comments below, or whatever sign is ruling your 9th house, leave them in the comments below. And I love reading about all of your experiences, guys. It is just fascinating to see the differences between everyone's experiences, but you know, how sometimes some people really do have the same placements and they do have the same life experiences. It's fascinating. Alright, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't. If you have already, then thank you very much for coming along with me on these astrology growth journeys, learning and growing together. I'll see you very soon, guys, in the next video. Bye!